Okay. Well, let's see. So I started getting into rock climbing. It was something I'd always wanted to do, and and finally met some people when I was living in Lake Tahoe that I could learn from, and it was pretty cool. And I started off in a gym, and started going outside. And again, I had always known I wanted to do it from the time I was a kid, going down to Yosemite with Grandma Laura and Grandpa Jim, and in the family and stuff. I always used to see people climbing down there when I was a little kid, and I was like, "Mom, I'm going to do that someday." Just always knew that it looked really interesting and adventurous. So I've been climbing for a couple of years, and like had learned in the gym. I was kind of getting strong and learning what's called sport climbing, which is just clipping bolts, kind of like they do in the gym, except outside.
Yeah.
But I wanted to do the kind of climbing that they do in Yosemite, which is called traditional climbing, where you place your own gear, more like old school climbing, the way the old masters did it. Because sport climbing was considered kind of new and sort of, it's not really climbing, but more of an activity type. So anyway, started buying stuff like protection and gear like that, and started going out climbing pretty regularly. And unfortunately, I was not learning from very good people, and hanging out with people that were trying to talk me about climbing stuff that I probably shouldn't have been starting on. And I did okay, climbed a few things, and that got some pretty bad situations, but I thought I was kind of indestructible at the time, and unfortunately I proved that I wasn't. I was a near accident, but nothing happened, and all of a sudden was going good. And then one day I went climbing at Donner Summit and tried to do this thing that was rated 5.9 plus, and it was a crack climb with a vertical wall. It was definitely climbing at the edge of my ability level, which I should not have been doing. It was absolutely my fault. Nevertheless, I got up and I got to 20 feet and 40 feet and 50 feet. I got to this point where I didn't really know what to do, and I was hanging out trying to figure out how to move up. And unfortunately, I just waited too long, and I realized that I was going to let go, and I'd never really fallen climbing before. And just remember, trying to do everything I could to hang on, and I just remember that moment of like, oh my gosh, here I go. And, don't really remember falling or anything like that, but unfortunately what happened was my protection that was below me wasn't placed that well, and it started ripping out, and I hit the ground from, about 50 or 60 feet, something like that.
Oh my God.
And pretty much broke everything. I was in really bad shape. I was unconscious, thank goodness, but broke my pelvis, both sides, and broke my back, and I fractured my skull, and I broke a bunch of ribs, like punctured a lung. It was just horrible, like almost killed myself. Well, actually, not even a guy that I was with myself, but some other guy who just happened to be right there, also climbing, but kind of started the rescue process and called the fire department. They came and got me and rescued me, and took me to the hospital.
Didn't they drop you on the way down? Wasn't there something about that?
Yeah, when they were carrying me out, a fireman fell on me. It was down like this kind of hillside where the rock was going out to the road, and it was a little bit slippery and was off. And his elbow like dug into my chest, and that might have been what broke my ribs. I never really know. I definitely remember that, like, oh, I didn't need that. So yeah, they sent me to the hospital, and I was pretty banged up. They were saying I'd be lucky to walk again. I mean, I had broken my back and my hips.
Yeah, I didn't know you broke your back. I knew you broke your hips, but I didn't know you broke your back.
And, but luckily, there was no spinal cord damage. So that was awesome. But anyway, so I stayed in Truckee for a handful of days, and they were like, "This is way too bad for us to handle. You're gonna have to go down to Sacramento to UC Davis Medical Center." And I was in the hospital for a total of like 4 weeks, I think. Had a really good doctor, and he put me back together, and really did great. I'll always remember him because he saved my life big time. I was in there talking to him. I'm like, "Hey doc, I'm gonna be able to go climbing and skiing and bike riding again and stuff like that." And and he didn't make me any promises, but he sort of laughed like, hey, I'll do the best I can. I know that you want to do this stuff again, and I'll do what I can for you, but I just can't promise you anything. Right. So it took many months. I spent 9 months in a wheelchair after that. Did lots of rehab, and next thing you know, like a year later, it was almost like nothing had ever happened. Kind of the moral of the story is, get back on the horse when you fall off, sort of thing. That a lot of people would have quit climbing and quit doing, like adventure stuff like that, and I couldn't
Not you.
do it again. Yeah, exactly. But yeah, it kind of, that's like, a moral for life is just when you get knocked down, you just got to get right back up again, and so it taught me, kind of a really important life lesson. So anyway,
yeah,
I went on to become a much better climber and even a better skier than I was, and went on to have a very, very active life, and I was always just like chugging ahead and making sure you keep going.
I would hope Almost Dying would teach you that.
You would hope so, but I'm not the smartest guy in the world. You know that.
Well, that was a cool story. Thank you.
Oh, I'm glad you called.
I love you.
Okay, love. Glad you called. Bye.
Okay.